Welcome to DorkChat Radio, starring Kilroy Duncan and Bryant Crawley.
Well, let's not roll yet. I have something to pull.
What?
Seth Rogen and Billy Eichner. Yeah, Seth Rogen and Billy Eichner are going to be Timon and Pumbaa from on The Lion King.
All right. Well, Seth Rogen as Pumbaa makes sense.
I am just wondering. All I want is I got my Simba. I got who I wanted for Simba.
Who's Simba again?
What's his name? Gosh.
Is it? Oh wait, no, it's the dude from Community, right?
Glover.
Yeah, Daniel Glover, not Danny Glover, Donald Glover.
Donald Glover. Then you had James Earl Jones, of course, as Mufasa.
Yeah.
They haven't cast. I don't think they've cast. What's his name? Scar. And they've just cast Pumbaa and Timon or whatever. Timon. I want the New Day as the Jackals. There is a growing petition to get them to be the Jackals.
That would be absolutely glorious.
I know he wants what's the female lion? What's her name? Nolly. He wants Beyonce's Nolly. But it would make money. Oh yeah, well it's gonna make money. Here's the thing. It's gonna make a ton of money.
Oh yeah,
okay,
yeah,
so,
it's gonna make a shit ton of money, absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I said Aladdin, Will Smith, it's gonna work.
Robin Williams is such a huge influence. I know, but he's such a huge influence on me that it's really hard for me to see anybody else as Aladdin.
Here's the thing, I can see a ton of people because you know why? He was the voice. But you know what? He wasn't the person, and he's dead.
Modeled that character after him. Anyway, moving on. I am actually. I'm gonna start the podcast in the middle of all that. Just somewhere, I'm gonna fade in, and we're gonna be talking about the Lion King. Hi everybody.
We talking about more dead people on this show. This is turning into the Deadcast. I swear.
Any podcast about professional wrestling, any podcast that you talk about professional wrestling where it's not specifically only talking about current professional wrestlers, is going to have a lot of dead people in it.
And this certainly does.
It's just the nature of being a wrestling fan, especially one that grew up around the 80s and 90s wrestlers who dropped like flies. But we're gonna move away from the death and destruction and mayhem and terror.
Do we have to?
Well, I mean, we don't have to. We can spend a whole.
Sweet. Okay.
I could spend a whole thing talking about dead wrestlers. That's
we were transitioning back to dead wrestlers because I was just gonna talk about Robin Williams and he's dead. So I was just gonna go.
What?
That one. No.
You know what? No.
What?
Nah.
I mean, you could not me. You can talk about Prince.
I am seriously right now staring in my man cave at a autographed picture of Robin Williams from Jacob the Liar. Like, Robin Williams is a huge influence on me. I'm still not ready to make jokes. Still not ready. Not with Robin Williams. Just still not ready for me. People can make fun of me for that. That's cool. You guys can make jokes. That's cool. I can't yet. I'm not there.
Again, I love Prince. I love Michael. I love Charlie Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
And The Day After, still cracking jokes.
Yeah, I think Charlie Murphy would kind of want people cracking jokes.
I mean, I think all of them would want people cracking jokes because you know what?
Well, maybe not Prince.
I think he kind of would because the whole pancakes thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought that was hilarious. So,
that's true.
Again,
Prince is hard to tack down on how he would respond to stuff because he was just.
I don't think he is.
He was Prince. He wasn't a human being. He was an alien that came to us with a guitar and.
No, he's not Roger. He's not Roger from American Dad. He was a human. He was a human being, and he had thoughts and feelings.
Was
and,
he?
He liked to joke around. I'm kind of sure he was a human being.
Kinda, because there's at least a question that Prince may have been an alien.
No real question on my behalf.
For me, there absolutely is. Because holy shit.
you're kind of weird. We have gone way off topic.
Way off topic. Way off topic. And that's okay.
And you're welcome.
You know what? You know what? WCW wrestler Prince Iaukea, the artist formerly known as Prince Iaukea, his gimmick was ripping off Prince. I actually really dug that gimmick. Tie it all back together.
Did you know?
I did.
There we go.
I thought it was great.
Yes,
I thought that, out of all the bullshit ideas that the Rousseau era, the Rousseau-Bischoff era, that whole thing, out of all the ridiculous ideas they had, that one wasn't all that bad. I thought it was a good idea. I thought Iaukea did well with it, considering they didn't really give him anything to do. It was just wear purple velvet, we're going to rip off Purple Rain for your entrance music, and just be like Prince, and then we'll give you, I think it was Booker's wife, wasn't it? That was his valet for a little while? And then they didn't do anything with him after that. They just kind of give him the gimmick. But, I thought it was a good gimmick. I thought timely and perfect. I thought he did well with it. I would have liked to have seen more of it, but I didn't, because WCW was WCW, and they didn't do anything correctly.
That is true, except NWO.
They didn't do NWO correctly either, because at the end of the day, they kept it going way the hell too long. They put way too many people in it. They gave it different divisions of NWO.
You didn't let me finish.
Okay.
See? Jumping on my throat.
I am.
I said the creation of NWO was perfect.
The creation.
Oh, I admit the creation. I didn't say the ending of it, because the ending of WCW wasn't great. The ending of so it had its moment. It should have lasted maybe 2 years, and then went away.
I could see it still being like kind of like the Horsemen, where there was a group, but it wouldn't have worked as this giant conglomerate thing that they made it, because the Bullet Club's still around, and I think it could have been like what the Bullet Club is now, where there's different members and it kind of rotates in and out and stuff like that, and it's still effective. But it just wouldn't be the centerpiece of the company anymore. They kept it the centerpiece of the company for way, way too long.
Here's the thing. I was a WCW guy, and I thought the Horsemen should have really stopped. They had the original members, and that was it. Yeah. Like the Bullet Club, really don't really care so much for the Bullet Club. First and foremost, there's like 50 guys that have been in the Bullet Club and through many different federations. Okay, I'm a Bullet Club member. Is that okay? Do I get a shirt? Do I get a bandana? What do I get? I think the NWO went way too long, and it's literally, I was just thinking about this the other day because I was listening to a podcast, and they were like, who was not in the NWO? And then you really thought about it, you're like, literally, there's like 5 guys that were never in the NWO that were in WCW.
Right.
It's not everyone.
The top guys, yeah.
Yeah, everyone else was literally in the NWO or has been in the NWO at one point, shape, or form.
There was Sid. Sid was never part of the NWO.
Sid
DDP famously was never part of the NWO.
That's the one that comes to mind.
Yeah, he was famous. Pops it out. He was famous for that. But Sid was never part of the NWO.
Are we counting before or after Broken Leg?
Before? He didn't wrestle again after the Broken Leg, didn't he?
Okay, I don't know. I just wanted to bring up the Broken Leg. That's all I wanted to do.
I know you did, because you like putting that image in my head. I still to this day can't watch that.
I can.
I saw it live and I was like, well, that's the thing I've seen and I'm never gonna watch again, because that was fucking gruesome.
You know what I like to do? Like at the moment that it snaps, snap a Slim Jim. It's the best. It's literally the best.
Seriously, I knew you were setting up for a gimmick. I knew you were, and I was like, I'm gonna no-sell this. I'm gonna no-sell this. I'm just gonna be silent. I'm gonna wait. It'll be the comedic time. It'll be funny, and I couldn't do it because that was good. I applaud.
Thank you.
The Slim Jim was good.
Snap into a Slim Jim. Yeah.
Snap into a. If he had become the spokesman for Slim Jim after that, it would have been perfect.
Oh my goodness! It would have made so much money. Like him and Joe Theismann. Like hitting the Slim Jims together.
Oh my god,
like Slim Jim Wars. Oh man, we are way off topic, but I don't even care.
You know what? This is our podcast. We can do whatever the hell we want.
That's true.
I do want to ask you though, because you brought up the NWO and in the creation of the NWO and how perfect it was, and I agree with you. It was perfect. Apparently the original plan, or it may have been the backup plan, in case Hulk said no, was Sting being the third member. Now, personally, I don't think it would have worked. I don't think A, Sting plays a good heel in the first place, but B, I don't think it would have had the same impact as Hogan turning heel, because the whole idea for us WCW fans was that it was these WWF guys coming to invade, and nobody ever really trusted or liked Hogan in the first place, and then he turns heel, and it's like, aha! We knew it all along! You were working for Vince, or doing whatever the hell it was he was doing. And so I think with Hogan, that was the only way to go, really. But apparently Sting was either the first choice or was the backup plan to Hogan. How do you think that would have worked? Do you think it would have had the same drawing power? Do you think it would have just been a little gimmick to last a couple months? What do you think?
If Sting was the guy, as the main guy, it wouldn't have worked. Mainly because Sting, as big as Sting was in WCW, he wasn't Hogan.
Right.
He wasn't Hogan. And he wasn't that crossover appeal that Hogan was. And everyone grew up with the yellow and the red and the bandana and the vitamin. So everyone knew who Hulk Hogan was.
Right.
Really, unless you were a wrestling fan, like literally if you were a wrestling fan, you knew who Sting was. Otherwise, you would think he was the singer.
Right.
So he wouldn't have had that impact. Like seeing Hulk Hogan become evil was awesome. Like the fact of him standing in the ring at Bash at the Beach and getting trash showered in the ring and thrown at him was by far one of the top 3 best sights in wrestling of all time. Like literally, it was just a shock, and like it shocked everyone. You wouldn't have not gotten that same effect with Sting. It probably would have turned the NWO and from what it was to maybe about a 3 to 4 month thing. Like, because eventually, because Sting really, as great as he was, an awesome babyface. I'll give it to. He was an awesome babyface, but he was not that great of a heel, and it wouldn't have. I don't know if it'll work. And then you also got to think, like, would you have Hogan come in to save the day? And like that whole dynamic wouldn't have worked if you think about it in the long run.
Yeah, I think the NWO would have gotten squashed. Yeah. I think it just would have. Hogan would have beaten the NWO. It just would have been another Dungeon of Doom.
Right.
Except for they would have had a ready-made Starrcade main event that year of Hogan versus Sting.
Right.
And it just would have been Sting as the top heel. He probably steals the title from Hogan somehow, and then you have Hogan win it back at Starrcade.
The interesting,
but then I think the NWO's done 6 months after it starts if it's Sting or really anybody else.
The interesting thing then, what happens with the whole Monday Night Wars? Because if you think about it, like that was the kickoff. Like literally, the only reason why the Attitude Era really existed was an alternative in regards to WCW and NWO. If there was no NWO, what would have happened in regards to that? Because we would have gotten pretty much what we got in 95, 96 with.
I don't know. I think, dude, I think wrestling was set to get hot.
I don't think so,
I firmly believe that the wrestling business, at least up until the network era, was cyclical. And it would get hot, it would get cold, it would get hot, it would get cold. And it all depended on who was on top. And I think Austin's going to get on top no matter what. He's going to become the top guy in the WWF no matter what. He's just going to get hot.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying in regards to the Attitude Era in general. Like, that's the thing. Like, I think Austin could have gotten on top and would have been, but I don't think Austin would have been the Steve Austin like we know and love today back then. That's what I'm saying. I think because it was. I think
it would have been a slower burn towards that because I think that ECW was already as hot as they were at that point in 95, 96. I think that ECW probably would have gotten to be a much bigger part of the business, a much bigger part of the collective conscious of wrestling because they would have been a true alternative. Because again, the NWO pushed things towards a more adult level. WWF responded in kind by essentially ripping off ECW. And I think that if that doesn't happen, then maybe Vince doesn't rip off ECW and maybe ECW becomes a bigger deal.
I don't know. In all honesty, I don't know because you also got to think like at that point, to be ECW and to be what you had to be, at that point, you still had to be on TV. Right. And as much as we want to think about it, ECW was way too hardcore to be on TV. It really was. And like that's the stuff that couldn't even get across the censors. Like that's where you're starting to think like, okay, because we remember what WWF was at that time, and that was right at that line in regards, and ECW was like way on the
the only reason WWF got away with they did is the ratings.
Right.
The ratings were so high that USA Network was willing to let them get away with what they got away with.
Right.
But even then they had trouble.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that you're looking at the dawn of the internet age at that point.
But this is what
where streaming video starts to hit around 2000, 2001. If ECW can make it as the alternative, where the other two companies are still doing straight pro wrestling, and ECW survives till 2000, 2001 being the alternative, being the hardcore thing. I think once streaming video hits, ECW has a shot.
That's 4 years that you're asking. Like literally, that's the whole thing.
ECW was alive in 2001, and that's even with the WWF and WCW rating everyone that they had and stealing their product model.
But
I think if you don't have them stealing their product model and possibly not even taking their stars because they wouldn't fit in the WWF product model, you got a real shot at ECW being a big deal by 2001.
This is the problem I'm having with this whole thing, and because what I'm saying is, and we got way off topic. What WCW? What I was saying is WCW didn't have an NWO. They did have an NWO, and it was like about 3 months. WWF would have never did what they had to do in regards to competing with WCW. It would have just been what we saw in 95, 96. They turned it because of what happened with WCW. It really had nothing to do with ECW. It didn't, because at that point, regardless of however we wanted to think how big ECW was, they were still a regional product. They were still regional. Like it wasn't across the country like WCW and WWF were. And that's the thing. And then you're asking for this regional product to fight with WCW and WWF for the mind share in regards not being on TV, mind you, when the other two are for 4 years for the video streaming service. I don't think that would have happened. I still think they would have.
But they did.
Again,
that's the thing. They did do that, even with the WWF aping their product model and stealing their stuff.
Oh, here's what I'm saying. You're saying they did in regards to keeping up. Like, literally, they were bare bones. Like, when they were big time in regards to probably in 98. The biggest time ECW was, 98? 98, 99?
Their best years were actually 96 and 97.
So right there, their best years. I'm giving them a 2-year grace period in regards to that. Even if WCW never had NWO or whatever for the long period that it did, and WWF never really rated the talent, had a slow burn, didn't turn Austin into what he wasn't Austin versus Vince McMahon. They were still a regional company. They were still a small company in regards to that, going against two heavyweights. I still don't think they would have survived because they were in one place. To compete with WCW and WWF at that time, you had to go national. And I don't think it would have worked. Like, it would have still ended up being what it is today. And I don't even think it would have been what, in regards to, I don't think it would have grown anywhere what it was today, what it was back then. Even with the expansion, I don't think it would have been. I still think it would have been a small regional product, and just to compete on that level with the other two, I just don't see it. I don't see it, especially the fact that, dude, that stuff was too graphic to be on TV. Like, at that time, it was too.
You say that, and it really wasn't that bad,
dude.
I mean, the sex stuff they didn't really do. They didn't really do any of the sex stuff that WWF didn't end up doing. And as far as the violence goes, the violence was stuff that you had seen in late 1980s, early 1990s NWA.
Again.
The barbed wire rope matches and stuff like that. I mean, that shit, Tully Blanchard and Dusty Rhodes were doing barbed wire rope matches.
Where?
In the mid-80s.
Where?
In the South.
Chris, I'm talking about, was it actually on TV? Was it actually on TV? Like, I remember this.
There was a barbed wire rope ladder match that Dusty and Tully did, I believe, at Starrcade '86 or something like that.
Which was a pay-per-view.
Big pay-per-view.
Again, Chris, this is where we're butting heads. I'm talking about actual TV. Like, I remember what the Attitude Era was. I definitely remember that. And they, like I said, the WWE hit that line. They didn't cross over. ECW crossed over the line. They were happy to cross over the line. They skipped over that line. They did hopscotch over that line. They were fine to cross that line. I don't think they would have went back behind the line. And to get on TV, you had to come to the line. And ECW as a product was not going to go, hey, we're going to stop at that line. No, they were about pushing that line way the heck over. Like, we're in Virginia. That line is in Richmond, Virginia. They are in California. Okay? Just hanging out. Okay? They're doing what they got to do. Okay? That's what I'm saying. That would have never got on TV. And we both know it wouldn't. Like, a pay-per-view is different from actual TV. And ECW.
See, again, I think that, well, they were on TV, first off. They did have syndicated television.
Man,
but
Chris, if you come at me with syndicated television, I'm gonna smack you.
I'm gonna stick to my guns here. I think ECW would have succeeded. I think without the NWO, the ECW stands at least a 50-50 shot of succeeding to the point where they stay the true alternative and they stay relevant. I also think that it's possible that if the NWO doesn't happen, WCW might actually still be around because they don't experience that giant high in 96 that they keep trying to get to and throw everything at the wall at. I think that WCW stays a strong force in wrestling, maybe overtakes the WWF in 97, but maybe not. Maybe it's a back and forth battle like it was for quite some time before the NWO, and you still have WCW sticking around for a lot longer. Because I firmly believe one of the big problems that WCW had was that they experienced such a huge high up until about 98, until Goldberg beat Hogan. That's pretty much the line. And then right after that, they didn't have anything to follow it with, and they kept trying to throw everything at the wall to get back to that point, and it stunk of desperation by 2000. And I think that maybe WCW is even still
around. I'm not too sure on that one, Chris.
I know, WCW was WCW, and they screw things up. That was their modus operandi. But I think that it's entirely possible they stick around until the merger, and then the merger sells them off to somebody else. I don't think Vince gets them, because they'd still be a worthwhile property by that point. I think Turner Broadcasting sells them off in 2001, one way or the other. I don't think that really had anything to do with how bad the business was in WCW as much as it was they just didn't want to have anything to do with wrestling. But I think it's a decent shot, at least. But anyway, we're gonna move on now that we've blown almost a half an hour on that. I'm gonna go and we're gonna start hitting our actual parts here. Thankfully, we didn't have a whole lot scheduled for today. We're gonna talk about the Superstar shakeup. We didn't get to it last week because we were talking about WrestleMania and we went real long on WrestleMania. So the Superstar shakeup, much like the last draft, it feels like SmackDown got completely raided. And I still feel to this day that that's kind of the point, is that SmackDown is the place where guys go to get over so that they can go to Raw and be the stars. Because Raw is still driving all the ad revenue, Raw is still the flagship show. But SmackDown obviously has been the better show since the draft. Would you agree?
I would agree. I would disagree on the original point that they got their talent rated, but I'm going to let you continue. Why?
I think there was a question mark about AJ Styles as to whether he could draw as a top guy. Not to fans. I think we all knew. But I think within the company there was a question. You know, is he just hot because he's new and he was a TNA guy and everybody's excited, and then once he gets here he'll fizzle down? Or is he top guy material? And I think there was a big question in there, and they didn't want to have that question answered on Raw. They sent him to SmackDown. Dean Ambrose, obviously, not a guy that the company's really terribly behind. He got hot at the right time, and he made the story work for Roman and Seth for Dean to get the belt. So Dean gets the belt. So Dean goes to SmackDown. I really feel like they took all the people that they felt like were megastars outside of John Cena and put them on Raw. And then John Cena's the one guy that's supposed to keep the ratings going on SmackDown so that people don't completely abandon it, much like The Undertaker was during the last time. And when they did the Superstar Shakeup, now Cena's out of action because he's done for now. Undertaker's gone, long gone. Now you bring in Nakamura to do the same thing that AJ Styles did, but now AJ Styles is sticking around because now he's the guy to bring in the ratings. That's how I feel about it. But I feel like Nakamura's doing the same thing that they did with AJ Styles. Is he actually hot, or is he hot in a vacuum?
I'm going to say this. In regards to your original topic, I'm going to keep saying that that SmackDown, that normally in regards to these trades, in regards to, or whatever, shakeups, or however you want to call it nowadays, drafts, SmackDown usually gets the short end of the stick. We've seen it over and over and over again. Correct or incorrect?
Right.
Okay.
That is correct.
We saw it with the last draft that they had, the last draft that they had last year, that everyone pretty much was put on Raw. Like, SmackDown had, like, literally nobody. Like, the whole point, it was nobody.
They got Randy Orton.
They got Cena. They got AJ Styles. They got Dean Ambrose. Like, I'm trying to think of
Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt was, like, really, at that point, was...
Yeah, he was damaged goods.
Yeah, like, they really didn't have too much of his tag teams. They had Becky Lynch as the women's... Like, they got scraps. I'll just put it like that. They got scraps.
They got the second choice.
Right.
Pretty much all the way across.
And they made it work. Because with SmackDown, they were under the impression, and this is what I remember seeing that week, Shane McMahon was like, we are the land of opportunities. And I didn't want to, I was thought, okay, you say that because you ain't got nobody. So that's all you got to say. But if you look at it.
Lots of opportunities.
Look at it. Look at the people that got AJ Styles. Okay. AJ Styles turned into the man on SmackDown or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
They turned Bray Wyatt into something at the very end of his run. Mm-hmm. They had The Miz, who turned around the Intercontinental belt. They had Rhino and Heath Slater tag team. They redid the Usos. Which,
by the way, I just want to put this real fast before I forget. Mm-hmm. I love Rhino's gimmick now. Whatever he's doing now is just, it's glorious. The Cheese Whiz and just constantly eating something. It's so silly and so stupid, but such a small little thing. They don't address it. It's just a little thing he does. I fucking love it. Rhino is, to me, one of my little favorite things to see.
See, did that
anytime he shows up on TV.
Did that on SmackDown. Then they made Alexa Bliss, Naomi. Like, they did create stars, and some of those stars moved on to SmackDown. I mean, to Raw with the Superstar Shakeup. Alexa Bliss. Who else? Bray, The Miz. Who else moved from SmackDown? I'm trying to think. Those were the main ones. I'll just leave it like that. Those are the main ones. But then brought back, they got the New Day. They got Rusev. They got Kevin Owens. They got Jinder Mahal. They got... I'm going to keep...
Of those first three, all three of them are people that they didn't know what to do with afterwards.
Who?
They had stories up till WrestleMania and then no idea.
Well,
New Day, they have no idea what to do with New Day anymore.
They had no idea what to do with New Day before that, but go on.
True. They had no idea what to do with... who was the other people you mentioned?
Kevin Owens.
It was Kevin Owens,
Charlotte.
His feud with Jericho, and then he's done. Charlotte has dominated the Raw division, so there's nothing really left for her to do over there.
But
so they got people that had nothing left to do.
But here's my point.
So again, they're kind of getting scraps.
But no, I wouldn't say scraps, because the scraps mean they were nobodies. Like, literally compare what the draft was last year to what they got this year. Like, if you take them both, SmackDown got screwed last year because they had nobody on the roster. This year, they added more people in regards to the roster. You added the longest reigning Universal Champion and the current United States Champion. You added the longest reigning World Tag Team Champion. You added the 4-time Women's Champion. You added the great Jinder Mahal. I'm going to keep saying they added a bunch of stuff. And like we said, the first night we saw that they're doing with it is they're building stars. They took AJ and who else? Corbin, and who else was in that match? I think it was Dolph, right? Was it Dolph? And they put them in regards to a feuding for the United States title belt. And everyone was wondering, why were they doing that? Why were they doing that? Why were they doing it for the United States title? And they kept them away from the main belt. And they had Randy Orton, and then they had him in a 6-pack challenge or whatever. And it was all mid-card guys or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
To me, it looks like you're setting up the place where you're going to be able to create a star in regards to someone to take Randy Orton's place when he leaves. Because I can see him leaving, doing the route of Cena soon, very soon. Mm-hmm. In regards to he's stepping away, taking that break, that extended break or whatever. And you need a heel in that place. Like I said, I don't think Jinder Mahal would win a match against Randy Orton. I would love it, but I don't think he would win. That's not necessarily the point. The point is you build him up credibility-wise so he looks the part. The point is you look the part in regards to that you creating new stars. I see the fact that you got Corbin still waiting in the wings. I see the fact that you still have a match with AJ, and you can still use Kevin Owens, and you got Nakamura. Like, you still can also create in regards to the tag team division. There is a lot of opportunities in regards to SmackDown that I don't think we're just gonna gloss over. I love it. Tell me what you have on Raw. I'll wait.
Raw has the 3 hours, and they've got talent to fill it.
Do they?
They do.
With a dumpster?
I actually watched 2 hours out of the 3 hours of Raw last night. I missed the first hour because of some family stuff, but I saw the last 2 hours of Raw, and I know what has been said online about Raw, and I know what I saw. And maybe it's because I missed that first hour, although from what I understand, the first hour was great. But whoever wrote whoever wrote Monday's Raw had an eye for comedy, or an ear for comedy, or whatever you call it. And the show worked on an amazing level for me. It didn't feel like it was dragging at any point. It didn't feel slow. It didn't feel like I was just chewing through something. And there was always something happening that was entertaining and usually funny in a real funny way and not in a Vince thinks this is funny way. Angle specifically fucking killed it last night. The stuff with the banana and Austin Aries just killed me personally. So if Raw can stay that hot, with SmackDown trying to figure out what they're going to do with Randy Orton as world champion, which I don't know what you do with Randy Orton as world champion again. I think Raw might have the chance to kind of get back into being not only the flagship show, but the better show.
Yeah, so and I know that you watched it, and I haven't watched it yet. I'm just going off of reports. Everyone said it was trash. So I'm just going to go, and I love your opinion. And I know you have a good heart, except when it comes to Roman Reigns. But I'm going to go with the other opinions that I've seen.
That's not true. I've started to come around on Roman.
I'm going to go with the other opinions in regards to seeing it, especially what I've seen Raw in the past couple weeks, besides the Braun Strowman thing. And then I heard that last week Monday wasn't that great in regards to they tried to make it seem like he had thrown Kalisto off of a 20-foot tall tower when it was 3 feet in a track.
The stunt was very PG.
Again, you started at too high of a place. You started at the ambulance, and then you went to the destroyed ring, and then you went to a 3-foot fall trash drop. So you started too high. There's levels. There's levels to this. Like, you can't. It's got to come down somewhere. But to me, I love the fact what they have on SmackDown. I love the fact I think SmackDown literally won the draft. I think that it's still going to continue that and it's always going to be like that. That SmackDown is the show in regards to the wrestling. Raw is the show for the talking and the more entertainment value. But I think the better show to me is still going to be SmackDown. And especially after the brand split, I don't see how that has actually changed, especially with who they've gotten. And I love the face. I wish they would go more so in regards to the face of America, Kevin Owens. I mean, the face of America is Canadian. Like
what gets me is that the face of America used to dress like Americans, in that the shorts and a t-shirt and just kind of looked sloppy, and now he's wearing a suit.
Oh, I love it.
And I think if you want to do the face of America, he should try to wear red, white, and blue eagle shirts.
No.
And just be as trashy as possible, and it would get him heat. It would get him heel. For trying to represent America by quote unquote looking like Americans.
I don't think he's going to need any more heel heat. He already has. That's a fact. I love him.
I'm always looking for ways to get.
I understand that. That's because you're weird like that. But I think he's fine where he is. I think that he should bring back the Canadian flag and put it on the belt. But that's just me. I love the
Saskatchewan Hardcore Invitational title.
Awesome. See how awesome that is. I love what they're doing with Jinder Mahal, because literally he's not saying anything that's heelish. He's really not.
Right.
Just people are booing him because he's not American. That's
right.
And if we want to look at things, he's Canadian. So he's another Canadian.
Right.
If they really wanted to, they could form a Canadian group and bring in heel Sami Zayn, Jinder Mahal, Kevin Owens. I see that stable. United Nations of Canada. But I love
United Provinces of Canada.
I just love the fact what they're doing with him. I love the fact that he wanted to use the American dream, and they should have pressed him on it and been like, because I was reading it and I saw this and I heard this somewhere, and they were like, they pressed him on it and said, should have been like, there was a guy named, the American dream. His name was Dusty Rhodes, and he could be like, who's that?
Yeah,
I'm the American dream. Literally go with this. I know we went off the original topic, but I love what SmackDown did with the draft. I do. I really do. I think.
I love 2-hour wrestling shows. I think it's the right amount of time, especially for the WWE, to tell stories without feeling like they're dragging, and without filling it with unnecessary gaga.
Lady?
And SmackDown, if they had unnecessary Lady Gaga, it might actually be more entertaining.
Sweet.
But no, a 2-hour wrestling show works. I think 90 minutes is actually the perfect amount of time for a wrestling show. The old Bill Watts UWF Mid-South shows were 90 minutes, and they were fucking like clockwork. It was beautiful. I've actually been doing a lot of watching old wrestling, like a lot of people my age, I guess. Watching a lot of old wrestling on the network. And I've been watching a fair amount of Mid-South wrestling, and it just... At 90 minutes, there's no sitting down. There's no breather. You start out with a couple of matches that are squashes, but they're squashes with guys that you want to watch squash people, and then it starts getting into the story, and then you have a story for each episode. Bill Watts knew what the hell he was doing. And I kind of wish that NXT would move to that, to an hour and a half, give them an extra half hour, and just let them kind of do that Mid-South story. But that's a whole different thing. I did want to talk to you because we touched on it for just a second, and I know we were going to go on to something else, but I want to touch on this first because we already mentioned it. Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman has gotten over, at least to the IWC, and it seems like to the live crowds from the reactions that I'm hearing through television, Braun Strowman has gotten over as a babyface by murdering or attempting to murder Roman Reigns, and then attempting to murder and then trashing out Kalisto. Now, I love everything that Braun Strowman is doing. I love the instincts that Braun Strowman has in playing this character. Some of the stuff that he's doing is so over the top 80s bad guy that it's beautiful to me. I'm not done with you yet, Roman. When he said that, I laughed out loud and immediately was on board with whatever was going to happen. I love it, and I think that the IWC loves it in almost an ironic way.
There's a butt coming.
There is. And
is it a big one?
I want him. I cannot lie.
Sorry.
I want him to continue to be as over as he is, but we all know that he is being built to lose to Roman. That's it. There's no other reason for Braun Strowman to be as pushed and kept as strong as he is right now. He is being built to lose to Roman Reigns. This is no different than Kamala versus Hulk Hogan. And as far as Vince goes,
I would like to.
It's the same thing.
I would like to defer. I want to differentiate myself from this. I don't think he's going to lose to Roman.
You don't?
No. No.
As far as, I mean, I could see him maybe winning the first match just to really get in that, Roman Reigns has got an uphill battle to climb.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's going to climb that hill and he's going to beat Braun Strowman.
I don't think, here's the thing. Everyone needs to realize they had a feud before WrestleMania. Like, they had that feud. Like, literally that should have happened was it should have been a triple threat between Roman, Braun, and Undertaker at WrestleMania.
I agree with that.
But it wasn't. I mean, we all remember that in that feud, Roman went over. At this point, I don't see that happening in regards to if the reports are to be believed and they're trying to keep Roman away from Brock Lesnar until next year's WrestleMania. That means that in order the winner of this match or feud or whatever you want to call it is going to face Brock Lesnar. It's going to be Braun versus Brock. I can guarantee you that that's what it's going to be.
You think that's SummerSlam, or do you think it's before that?
I think it's probably the next pay-per-view, the next Raw pay-per-view. I don't see that there's any way that, one, that they're going to have Brock not on 2 Raw pay-per-views in a row. 2, they're really going to be able to hide the fact that it's going to be Braun. I mean, what else are they going to do? Because they're not going to put Roman versus Brock. That's not going to happen. Not this soon. No. They've already established in regards to when they were in the ring together, Brock versus Braun. That was what was that, the night after WrestleMania? Mm-hmm. So, like, I literally don't see any way that Roman wins this match that they have at what is it? It's a
Payback.
Oh, God. The Raw pay-per-view on Sunday. Okay? Let's just call it like it is. Is it Raw this time? Is it SmackDown? That's all we're going to do. Okay? So, the Raw pay-per-view.
The upcoming Raw pay-per-view.
I don't see...
Clash of the Champions.
We'll call it that. I see Braun winning that match and going on to face Brock at the next Raw pay-per-view. Just what I see.
I could see that happening. But then I think that Roman costs Braun the match, and then Roman beats Braun at the next pay-per-view.
Could be, but I think that could be over. That could also be ended. Like, I literally think like they.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think they're keeping Braun and Roman alive, probably all the way to SummerSlam, so that Roman can beat Braun clean at SummerSlam. And then Roman starts to build towards going after the world title, and you've got WrestleMania as Roman versus Brock Lesnar.
No.
I don't think that's the right move. I think the right move would be Roman versus John Cena while you still can.
Again, John Cena's not on Raw. So
he can be.
But he's not. And it doesn't look like he...
But he can be.
I understand he can be.
It wouldn't be that hard to do it.
Again, I understand he can be. I'm just saying he's not. And the fact that they could have already done that. They could have simply...
You could trade Braun Strowman for John Cena.
Again, they could have just moved Roman. But also removing Roman had to encounter some other pieces to be moved. They didn't move John Cena. They didn't even touch John Cena. They left him on SmackDown. They're happy to leave him on SmackDown with his future wife and baby mama. And maybe his mama's mama. Like, here's what I think. I think the feud between Braun and whatever happens, between Braun and Brock, which could mean that Braun could win the title. Like, that's something that could still happen, and that could mean that they could set up a rematch at SummerSlam. That's possible. Like, there's literally a number of ways. Like, I don't think, as much as we want to shoehorn, like, Brock is going to be the champion all the way till WrestleMania, I don't see that happening. I see him losing at some point, getting it back, but he'll lose it. Like, that's the thing. And I think you can build it up that there's only really one person that is going to take the title from Brock. That's Braun. It may be a Kane situation and not a long title run, but I can see it. I can see that's what they want to do. Because you have that, like, that's a year till next year's WrestleMania. Like, do you really think they're gonna have?
It's a good long while.
You think they're gonna have Brock have the belt for a year and then him not, defend it at every Raw pay-per-view? Like,
I think that it would not bother Vince in the least to do that with Braun. With Brock.
It may not bother him, but I just don't think they'll do it. I just think that eventually he's going to lose it. I think the person you probably lose it to, lose to Braun right now, as hot as he is, and then you can have him win it back at SummerSlam. Yeah, Brock win it back.
See, I don't know. I think they're gonna have Brock versus Finn Balor at some point. And I think that will happen before WrestleMania, because I think WrestleMania is being reserved for Roman Reigns. That's Roman Reigns conquers Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and that's just how they want to do it.
Right.
And the only thing that would change it is if one of them gets hurt before then. And I think that if they're going to have Brock do a detour, he might have a small detour with Braun, but I think the main detour for the late summer and fall is probably going to be Finn Balor.
Yes, I don't see Finn Balor getting to that spot yet.
He was the initial Universal Champion.
Yeah, for a day.
Yeah, but they would have gone with him for a lot longer than that.
Right. Again, things have changed a lot. If he literally was going to be in that spot, they would have put him in that higher up spot. Like, I just don't see it yet. I see them keeping him away. I don't see them going against Brock. I could see any other. I could see Roman. I could see Braun. I could see Seth. I could see a number of people before I could see Finn. As much as I like Finn, he's a chucky little character. I do see Crystal Ball. I do see a heel turn that would make
the Bullet Club,
which would make
Balor Club
would make a lot more sense. Then if you want to put him in the top picture, yes. But as a face, nah.
Yeah, I think the most interesting and most fun feud for me would be Balor turning heel, doing the Balor Club gimmick, and running with that versus Seth Rollins through SummerSlam. You're just turning on Seth and reforming the Balor Club and doing that all the way through SummerSlam. And then maybe you can start to aim towards getting Balor into the world title hunt after that. But you run the risk of having Brock play babyface against Balor and then heel against Roman Reigns.
Right.
He can do. He's Brock Lesnar. He's not really a babyface or a heel. He's just Brock Lesnar.
At the same time,
but it seems like something they wouldn't want to do.
You could always do that. You could do have them turn Finn heel or whatever, and form the Balor Club with Anderson and Gallows, and then have that against the Shield. Redo the Shield, have them the triumphant return of the Shield for SummerSlam, and then you have Dean Ambrose, your heel turn for Dean Ambrose. And then you have Dean Ambrose versus Roman Reigns in the next couple months. That's very easy to do.
That's not bad.
I know it's not bad, because I just made it.
Write that down and send it to Vince McMahon.
He's not going to listen to me.
And tell him that DorkChat Radio said this is what he needs to do.
We've had this.
I'm sure he'll answer.
We've had discussions. He doesn't want to listen to me. He's send the cops over here. So
it's because you're black, isn't it?
Well, he only has a couple black wrestlers at a time and people and staff. So
they're usually fighting each other.
I'm outside the. No, he usually has Rusev, beat up black people. So that's what Rusev does.
Well, we're gonna move on to our third segment. I know you want to crow about this.
Oh, that's what. So, wait. No, that's where we're gonna just leave it. That Rusev likes to beat up black people, and that's cool. Okay, that's how it is.
Yeah, that's where we're gonna leave that. Handsome Rusev.
I'm not calling him handsome. I'm not calling another man handsome. I don't care what you say. I don't care what if that's the PC thing to do. I'm not doing it. So just call me.
You'll call Roman Reigns handsome.
Well, he's got baby blue eyes that he occasionally puts in, so I can't help that. Okay, I cannot help that. I cannot help that whatsoever. Jack. I think I'm gonna start calling people Jack. I don't know why.
You should. I think it fits you.
I think I'm just what's up, Jack?
What's up, Jack?
My name's Jack.
I like it.
Well, I didn't mean to call you that, Jackie.
That's it. Oh, Jackie, nice. I'll be your Jackie.
If the person's name is Jack, you can't call him Jack. That sort of messes it up. You know what? Yeah. So okay. Well, let's go ahead and move on.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to our next thing, which is something that I know you want to talk about. Mauro Ranallo made his exit from the WWE just recently. And I am going to give you your moment to shine.
Well. Who called this before anything jumped off? The first week. Actually, it was like, what, the next day that he wasn't there? Who called it, buddy?
That'd be you.
Who called it? Who said there was something wrong in the motherland? I don't know why I said motherland, but
I'm not sure either.
Motherland. Something wrong at the Titan Towers. That's right. The Titantron was not working anymore.
What the hell?
Yeah. So at that point, I said that something was going on. And then I think we had another cast the next week, and I was just like, he's done. He's done. He's done. He's not coming back. Because, first and foremost, if everyone, we've watched wrestling our whole lives. Let's be honest.
Yes. That is true.
We've watched Raw. We've watched SmackDown. We watched Nitro. We watched Thunder. We've watched Sunday Night Heat. We watched the main event. We've watched WCW Saturday Night. I can go on and on and on. Name me a time when the announcers didn't make the show.
Well, we don't really know from our childhood because they would just change announcers weekly.
Name you and I both know, since if we want to establish it since from the Monday Night Wars and on, name a time when we didn't have the three amigos on Nitro and we didn't have the main people on Raw. I mean, Jim Ross, Vince McMahon, JR, was it
Lawler, Jim Cornette.
Like, you could start when the main people were there. How often did they miss shows? We both know that never happened.
Not very often.
Jerry the King Lawler had a heart.
Jerry Lawler.
Had a heart attack.
No. Jerry Lawler quit when they fired his then wife.
We knew that.
And Paul Heyman replaced him.
We knew that. But he quit, and that's all I'm saying. He quit. We knew he quit, and they replaced him with Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman was there for a little bit until they got the King back or whatever. Jerry the King had a heart attack. He wanted to come back to work. Okay? Mm-hmm. Jim Ross had something wrong with his face. Okay? And he wanted to come back. Look, I'm just saying, like, it doesn't happen too often. So when a guy sits there and says he's sick, no, first and foremost, it wasn't sick. I was snowed in. Really, dude? Really? Like, you don't work, first and foremost, you're on your announcing staff. You don't travel that often in regards to anything. So there's no way you were going to miss that. You can miss that show. Your other scheduled bookings are based around your wrestling schedule as well. And you didn't have any. So what were you doing, buddy? Second week, I'm sick. He's sick. We already knew something was up. Now, all that being said, because we haven't even discussed at all the whole JBL bullying WWE topic.
That is true.
here's my thoughts. I'm not going to base JBL on what he did in the past. I can't.
Okay.
I can't do it. I don't know. Because you have people from one side saying, oh, he was a big old bully, blah, blah, blah. And you have people on the other side saying he wasn't. Like, I can't. I'm not going to do that. I don't know the situation with Moreno. I don't know. The only thing I'm going to go with is he didn't fit the WWE and the WWE didn't fit him. That's all it is. That's all it is. And like it or not, this role isn't for everybody. So it sucks that he's not here. But if he wanted to be here, and if it really was something wrong with JBL, if he really wanted to be in WWE, I'll go with what Booker T said. Why didn't you ask to move to a different show?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm gonna say. I don't think he had the heart too much anymore in regards to doing this. I think he's a great announcer. He's great. I just don't think he fit with he fit with the WWE and the WWE fit him anymore. That's all it is. Mm. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong in regards to people saying, oh, they decide a settlement, they keep him quiet. Bull. WWE ain't keeping nobody quiet. Once he's out of contract, he can talk as much as he wants. And he would do that. Look what happened to Justin Roberts. He made a book about the whole situation in regards to WWE. Mm-hmm. The only reason why CM Punk is being sued is because in regards to disparaging comments he made in regards to his medical history. In regards to that. Right. If he said anything where it's like, I can't stay in Triple H, blah, 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 he wouldn't have been sued in regards to that. He said something specific in regards to his medical situation. If the stuff with Del Rio and going around still talking to this day, and first and foremost, for someone that did not really like WWE, he's got a lot to keep. I mean, he really loves to talk about them and keep them on. Like, if you didn't like it, like, all right, man, we get it. You didn't like it, like, let it go. Like, all right, bro, all right. But I'm just like, I don't think it was a set. I just don't think it was a fit for either party any longer. At the beginning, it was, but the longer it went, they sort of grew apart, and it was time to part ways. That's all I'm gonna say.
First and foremost, I think that Mauro Ranallo was the best play-by-play guy the company had. I think him and Graves are the two best that the company had, just total. Ooh. And I think that Mauro would have worked better in an NXT product, something that would have been more along his line, where it's indie guys and Japan guys and Ring of Honor guys coming in, and Mauro is smart to the business. He knows them. I think Mauro as the lead NXT announcer probably would have worked a lot better and would have had a lot more staying power than obviously he had on SmackDown. Plus, if there was an issue with JBL, it would have kept him away from JBL. When they brought him in and put him on SmackDown, I didn't quite understand it. I thought for sure that he was going to be the NXT guy. Tom Phillips doesn't bother me. I think he's benign, if at worst, and he actually seems pretty good at his job. I don't dislike his voice the way I dislike Michael Cole's, and he doesn't seem like he's just trying to get through the show a lot, which is something that I've run into with a lot of the announcers. And he also doesn't sound like he's literally parroting what Vince McMahon is yelling at him in his earphones, which Michael Cole does. I don't have a problem with Todd Phillips being that top guy on SmackDown. I just think it's a shame that Mauro went out the way he went out. And I don't know if that's to blame on JBL. I don't know if that's to blame on Mauro. Like you said, I can't really say much about the bullying issue because I wasn't... I don't know if there was a big thing there. I'm going to say that again because my computer just made a weird sound, and I'm not sure if that popped up on the audio. Like you, I can't really say much about JBL's bullying issue because we weren't there. We don't know. And there's been conflicting reports. I know that JBL's history is not great in regards to that, but that our culture has changed quite a bit from what ribbing used to be and what bullying is now. That's a smudged line. You know, the way that Mr. Fuji used to rib people in the 80s that people laugh about, and it was one of the ways you got brought into being one of the boys was by getting ribbed by Fuji and not being a dick about it. And the way that Owen used to rib people and stuff like that, and we hold Owen in such this saintly regard. And Owen was one of the biggest ribbers in the company.
Amen.
And yet we go bananas over JBL doing what most likely, at least in his mind, is the same thing.
I didn't want to say anything.
And I don't know if there's more to that story. I don't know if maybe JBL's intending to rib people and is just taking it way too far. Maybe he's just got one of those personalities that when he ribs you, it comes off as real and people don't like it. Or maybe he's just a dick. We don't really know. But I can tell you that the ribs that I heard about when Fuji was there and when Gorilla was there and when the old school wrestlers were there and what I've heard JBL has done are not terribly far apart. There's the shower incident with the soap. Yeah, that's different. That was a whole different thing, and as far as I know, JBL suffered the consequences of that. But outside of that, the stuff he's done doesn't seem that far out of the ordinary for ribs. So maybe Morrow's just extra sensitive and couldn't take the ribs. And if that's the case, WWE is not the right place for him. And that sucks because he's extremely talented.
All I'll say is this. I'm not, like I said, we don't know anything. That's why I wasn't basing what JBL's past was, because I don't necessarily know. I know, and I know where, if you bring up the fact in regards to who he was around earlier in his career, like the ribbing wasn't that big. Now, I'll say this. To me, it wasn't. I wasn't in those situations. Right. Like, I know Justin Roberts with the passport thing in regards to, right. But I've heard 1,000 times worse that happened with other wrestlers in regards to back in the 90s.
The ride-along show.
Right. So I'm not...
The ride-along show, they talk about ribs all the time, and some of them are really rough.
Right. So I'm not going to sit there and say, well, you know, maybe he couldn't take it. I'm not saying that. I'm going to just say this, that he was no longer a fit with WWE, and WWE was no longer a fit for him. And just leave it at that, because I would not. I think he's a great announcer in regards to commentator. I think he's great, but I never thought he wasn't replaceable. I always thought that you could have someone else come in from the company and work just as fine. Ergo, Todd Phillips doing the same exact job, and really you're not having a really cute.
Is it Todd or is it Tom?
I think it's Todd. No, Tom.
I think it's Todd too. Is it Tom?
Let me see. Let's see. Let's do a little Google search for us on the fly.
This shows that we're probably not that great of a wrestling fan, that we don't really know.
It's Tom.
I think it's Todd.
It's Tom.
Is it Tom? Holy shit.
It's Tom. It's Tom. Todd Phillips is the guy that was with the company, and I think it's now on ESPN. I think. Let's see here. Let's see. That's not it. Let's see. All right.
Did he just have two names? Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're dealing with? Did he have like a name before and now?
No. Who the heck is that then? That is not him either. Okay, so I am all confused of who this person. Okay, so it's Tom. Let's just put it like that. It's Tom.
Right.
But Phillips. Okay, Phillips. People.
Mm-hmm. Phillips. Mr. Phillips.
But we didn't see that much of a drop off between Phillips, from Moreno to Phillips. Okay, like if Graves left, that would be a big drop off between anyone in regards to the color commentary and Graves. Let's be clear, Graves is that great at his job, and he is very, very good. And I personally, and I told you at the time, that when they brought Graves up, I was hoping they would bring him to SmackDown, because they've already had a similar dynamic before in regards to going off each other in regards to similar a show. I think it was wasn't a Cruiserweight Classic. It was something else that they did do a announcing for, and they worked well together. And I was like, that would be perfect. Do that. They did.
Right.
They put him on Raw, which I'm fine with him because he's probably the best thing on Raw. But still, but like I said, it sucks for WWE as a whole because they lost a good dude, a good announcer, but at the same time, if he's not the fit for the company and the company's not the fit for him, you got to break. You can't stay there. You can't stay because if he was going to stay there and not be happy, then what was the point? And if W was going to have him and they're not happy with him, what's the point? It's not going to make anyone else happy. So.
Well, I mean, like I said, it goes back to the culture within the company, and not everybody's always a great fit. And I mean, I don't mean to make light of bullying, obviously, but at the same time, you have to have some understanding of this is a locker room culture. And locker rooms are full of guys that they're jacked up. They got a lot of testosterone flowing through them. They're constantly traveling, and ribbing each other is part of the business. It always has been, and it probably always will be. And if you can't take ribbing, maybe it's not the right business for you. And it sucks on a lot of levels because we don't know the whole story. And I think that's the main reason why it sucks, is that we don't know the whole story. There's enough smoke in there was something wrong with JBL and Morrow that there's probably fire. And we all know it, but no one's going to say anything, probably because Morrow got a nice little severance package from WWE as long as he doesn't talk about it, or as long as he doesn't denigrate anybody. And he's not saying anything.
I don't think he got a severance package.
I think he probably did.
Maybe here's the thing. Maybe I'm just foolish. I don't think he got a severance. Why would he have to get a severance package?
Because I think there's, like I said, I think where there's smoke, there's probably fire. There probably was something that JBL did that in any other company would be grounds for dismissal.
But here's the thing.
Or a possible lawsuit.
Here's the thing.
And
wait. First and foremost, WWE, regardless of what we think of WWE in regards to Vince McMahon, it's a publicly traded company, okay? It's not private, right. Okay? They have a big, huge, freaking HR department there, okay? If something literally did happen, something would be on file, first and foremost. Second, if it was a settlement, he would be out of his contract right now. He's not. His contract is not up till August, okay? And they're not letting him out of his contract till August. So again, if there was a settlement, you think he would be in his contract right now. He would have been released. He's not. So I don't think there's a settlement. I think they're just saying they're parting ways. This is when it happens. At the end of his contract. Simple. Again, if something that bad was happening, the shareholders would have a right to know. Okay? And it would get out there a lot. And as much as we sit there and think, oh, Vince McMahon has control, he ain't got that much control over that. He doesn't. As much as we want, he doesn't. And I'm going to keep saying, if it was something that big that JBL would need to be fired for, he would be gone. That's all I'm going to say. Again, not saying, trying to say something bad happened, what didn't happen. I don't know. We don't know. But I don't think it was a settlement. Because if it was a settlement, he would be out of his contract. And from all parties, he's not out of his contract and won't be out of his contract till the day his contract expires. Simple as that. Continue.
Well, if he's getting paid his full dues for the contract and he's not actually doing any work, I would consider that kind of a severance package. If they're paying him what he was going to be making anyway and he's not having to actually work, he gets to sit at home.
That doesn't mean anything in regards to a settlement. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Keyshawn Johnson, famous Buccaneers favorite wide receiver on my favorite team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, had a fight on the sideline with John Gruden. They were like, go home. He had 3 weeks left on his contract. 3 weeks left in regards to the season, 4 weeks left in the season. Told him to go home. We'll pay you to stay home. You are not welcome here anymore. And they let him stay home and get paid. That does not in regards to anything in regards to a settlement. We can see situations time and time again where, hey, if you're not wanted or anywhere or whatever, we'll let you stay. We'll finish your contract and we'll be done with you. Like that's what it looks like. That doesn't mean anything in regards to a settlement. That means they're going to just honor the deal and he's gone at the end of his contract. They're not going to renew his deal. That's all that means. It doesn't mean anything in regards to settlement. T.O., perfect example. Like, go home. Like they just say go home, and we're going to pay you to sit at home. I can go through numerous examples of that happening in sports. That does not mean settlement. That just means they're going to pay you the rest of your deal to sit at home. They're fine with that. He's fine with that. He's still working. He's working in other areas and everything else he was doing beforehand. So in the end, it's nothing. I don't think I don't think anything in regards to settlement. Because again,
all right, well,
that's all I'm gonna say.
All right. Well, I think we've covered everything we were going to cover. We're hopefully we're both going to be. Oh wait, we've got a thing. Hold on,
talk
1 second.
More
Hold
about
on 1 second.
Gender.
All right, sorry about that.
Gender. You're mindering gender.
I am not. Hold on. We're back. I am not hindering gender at all. You jackass.
You're hindering gender.
I am not hindering gender. I am not hindering gender. And you call it mindering. What the hell is mindering?
I don't know. Was watching. I just turned on and saw the Mindy Project, and I wanted to put something together with minder, gender, Mindy. And I couldn't say Jack. Couldn't use my Jack thing. Couldn't throw my Jack out. So first and foremost, that sounded really bad.
You couldn't. I wouldn't want you.
That sounded really bad.
I wouldn't want you to throw your Jack out. That would be. That'd be no good.
Let's back this up. This
is an R-rated podcast, not an X-rated podcast. You got to remember.
Well, if we're in the ECW, we're never mind. We're in the Attitude Era. I can cross that right up to that line. Right up to that line.
You actually said you kept saying gender, and I just I got a flash. If that guy had debuted during the Attitude Era, how long do you think before Vince would have made him the gender bender?
What are you talking about? I think it already happened. Like I really, if he would.
Did it really?
No, I really.
Did he start wearing dresses and become gender bender?
You know what?
Is that a thing
you know what?
that happened? I
No.
would believe you if you said it did.
You know what? Honestly, if this was TNA, yeah, this would honestly would be happening because Orlando Jordan. Yep.
Orlando Jordan.
Yep. I really think.
So with the image of Orlando Jordan, we are going to leave you tonight. I hope that next week, when we do this podcast, both of us will have been able to see the product a little bit more. I've had SmackDown on in the background this entire time and didn't think to put on the closed captions until like 20 minutes ago. So I'm a bright guy.
That's probably not good.
It's probably not good. But Naomi's about to fight Charlotte for the women's title. So if you tune in, there you go. You got a thing. You haven't really missed much. Jinder Mahal did steal the world title, though.
See? Because you know why?
So that's the thing. He stole it, and he rolled out in a SUV limo.
I'm telling you, man. Man, I will lose it if Jinder wins, man. I'm all in. I'm all in on this Real American right here.
I'm all in on Jinder, too. I want them to do something unique and different, and putting the title on Jinder Mahal, even for just a short amount of time, would be unique and different. I think it would be fun. And I think that you'd make the guy's career by giving him that run.
You know what? I'll say this. It makes up for what happened to Hassan. That was when he was fired, basically because of UPN.
Right.
And it would make more sense if Jinder won the title than Dean Ambrose. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, Dean Ambrose won the WWE title. People, think on that one. Jinder. Jinder.
I disagree with you there, but sure.
No,
go ahead.
No, you don't disagree. Dean Ambrose was terrible. as a champion. Let's be honest with ourselves. Yes, he was. He was terrible. He was god awful.
He wasn't.
He was
He was
god
not
awful.
terrible.
He was
He
god
was not
awful.
terrible.
Awful. You stood up. You were happy that anyone took that title off of him, and even happier that it was AJ. But let's be clear. Dean Ambrose was a god awful champion. That's right. Said it.
You are a son of a bitch.
I'll be that, but he was terrible. Terrible. I'm gonna use Charles Barkley's term. Terrible. He was terrible. Terrible. That's right. Just terrible. God awful.
All right, well then I'm gonna throw this to the DorkChat elite. Dean Ambrose. Great, okay, or terrible. I want to hear it. I want to know what you guys think.
Or garbage.
Outside of that, I am going to end this goddamn podcast because we're past an hour and 15 minutes.
Or in a trash can with Kalisto. That's your scale. It's good.
That's my scale.
Good.
Son of a
bad.
Bitch.
Terrible. Or in a trash can with Kalisto.
Trash can with Kalisto.
There you go. That's how you end it.
And we'll announce the results on the next podcast. I want you guys all to message Bryant privately.
No, don't message me privately. Do not message me privately. First and foremost, I don't like how y'all just keep tagging me into stuff. That don't mean I'm not. Look, I don't need every comment to put Bryant and Roman Reigns. All right, we get it. Okay, like Roman Reigns, I'm not gonna start calling out people and tagging them in certain posts.
The fact that we get it makes it funnier.
I'm gonna start tagging people in other posts, and I'm just gonna start randomly. You're not even gonna like what I post. I'm tagging you in because I don't even care then. So you don't want to, and it's gonna be outside of DorkChat. I can tell you that right now.
Well, I look forward to some interesting tags from the guys in the chat. Next week I do want to talk about how Ricky Morton stole my jacket. I do want to. I'm gonna go ahead and address that. Some stuff happened personally today that has made me get angrier at the situation, and I'm going to address it on the next podcast. I'm going to have a lot of angry words for one of my idols that probably he doesn't deserve, and then I'm going to have a lot of angry words for a relative of mine.
Sweet.
Who will never ever hear this, so it'll be a lot of fun.
Rant time.
Rant time. It's gonna be rant time from Duncan. I'm gonna spill beans on that story. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the podcast today. I know it was a little strange, but I feel good about it. You feel good about it?
I feel fantastic.
I feel fantastic about it too. Hopefully every Tuesday we do this. By Wednesday it should be up. God knows I'm gonna have to edit this son of a bitch and get it up. But we didn't have as many stops as we did last week, so hopefully I can get this up tonight. If I can, it'll be up tomorrow. I want to hear you guys' thoughts and your responses. And otherwise, outside of that, Cliff eats ass.
Fuck.
No, you got to give me more than that. You like mumbled it.
Fuck.
Is your reverend in the room with you?
Fuck. Does that work?
That's better.
All right.
That's better.
All right.
You gotta have some bass.
Well, I think because the headphones were away from my head, so.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
You'll forgive me for that.
I will forgive you if you do it one more time.
Fuck.
Perfect.
There you go.
And we're out.
In a trash can with Kalisto. That's the title of the episode. I just want to let you know that.
In a trash can with Kalisto.